Welcome to Fixing Assets, and the title of this video is New Year, New Problems. Well, I was I was driving to go and meet a friend, and I may or may not have had a small clutch problem. The first symptom was that in second and third there was an awful lot of clanking, and then I just completely lost drive. So after being towed back by the AA man that I managed to flag down, quite impressive, I got the car back into the garage, and we're going to have to take the gearbox off. So first of all, I'm going to show you the symptoms while I try and use the car's power to move it across a bit in the garage. So that nearly went. So having assumed or diagnosed, could be the gearbox as well, but having diagnosed that it's going to be one of the two things, we will need to take the gearbox out so that we can change the clutch and check that the gearbox is okay. Now, I have a very old Haynes manual, copyrighted 1975, so we know that it's one of the good ones. The gearbox can be removed as a unit with the engine through the engine compartment, which we know, I've done it a number of times. In addition, the Morris Minor 1000, it is possible to remove the gearbox from underneath the car with the engine still in place. So we know Mr. Haynes has done it, and therefore we can do it. So the first step to enlightenment is to drain the oil from the gearbox. That's because when you take the prop shaft out, it'll fall on the ground from there so may as well get most of it out through the proper method. Plus this will have to go in the back of my car sometime. The next task is to take off the big plate over the gearbox and the little plate over the master cylinder. As you can see, I've taken a few of the screws out. There will be more out. Then the next task is to remove the 4 prop shaft bolts and therefore remove the prop shaft. Put something under the end of the gearbox to catch the oil. As you can see, prop shaft's off. The underside of this car is actually pretty good for having been done about 7 years ago. But yeah, there's a cross member to be taken off there. The gearbox needs to be taken off the cross member, and the cross member needs to be taken off the car. Then there's a linkage, there's a pivot. There's Steve from Pentagram Motorsport there, who's come along to give us a hand. And there's the mechanism that needs to be taken off. There's a pivot, and then there's the mechanism that goes into the clutch, which, I mean, to be honest with you, didn't really need to be taken off, but best to do that. And then there's the cross member that we'll be tackling next. We need to detach that from the gearbox and from the car. And then here, the cross member's disappeared. We've got to tackle the bell housing bolts. And we've got one out there. That's where that would have been where the linkage was on the left-hand drive model. But yeah, linkage is off, and there it is hanging down. The pivot's been taken out as well. And there's the rest of the car. That's the gearbox mount. And then all the bolts is out here. what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and give it a pull and see if I can get the gearbox off the end of the engine. Now, it's difficult to do single-handedly, which is why I give up eventually and do it off camera. But you can see here it's wiggled and the start motor's just fallen down there. So I'm going to take this off camera and see how we get on. So yeah, that's now at a different angle. We've rotated it clockwise to get it past the steering rack. So now the next task is to give it a pull, and there it's off. The pressure plate, the spring on where the release bearing would go, has come off a bit of the bottom one, and I've managed to spill that thingy of oil by dropping the gearbox onto it. But there's the gearbox. So now we can have a look to see how broken the gearbox is. And would you believe it? It's the gearbox that's broken, not the clutch. Have a listen to this. You see it's jamming and seizing and it's clanky and rattly. It's not good. And we'll take a look at the other end because it's no better either. So yes, let's have a think about what to do. If you've got any suggestions, have a look in the comments, put it in the comments, and we'll see what I do in the next episode.